everyone, welcome back to our podcast. I'm Maureen.
And I'm Jasmine. Today we're going to talk about a case that happened in the real business world and that's completely changed all of this situation.
Yes, the clue is the company is having $1 billion and also listed in Germany index. And this is also audited by one of the big four in accounting firm.
So it sounds like a really successful company, right?
Well, not exactly.
So because in 2020, the company announced that around 1.9 billion euros in cash reported in its financial statement simply didn't exist.
But it's not stolen cases and it's also not misplaced. But the thing is, it even never exists at the very first place.
So this company is called Wirecard, and what started a Germany fintech success story quickly turned into Europe's biggest scandal at the time.
So we are going to explore about what is really happened at that time and who failed to do their job and what is the lesson in this case that we can also learn.
So because the biggest question isn't just about how did Wirecard commit to make a fraud,
but it's actually about how could so many people, including like management, auditors, even regulators itself, fail to detect it so early.
So let's check it out.
Check it out. But guys, before we are continuing about our discussion, I want you guys also to take a note about one thing, that this company is not a small operating in shadows, because this company is also having $1 billion of income.
Okay, so it's really right. Yes, exactly. So might be the first question that we should ask is, why did investors trusted the Wirecard in the first place?
Yes. I think the answer is personally investor is also like trusted Wirecard is because from the outside it looks like on the perfect success story, right?
Yes, I agree at the same time, but I think the word alone just not really explain. Investors also trusted Wirecard in this situation. It's because they already have the financial statement that audited by one of the biggest big four companies auditing. So for many people, the audit opinion has really created the sense of credibility. So I think it's people thought might be like, if the auditor was already signed off on it, it must be fine, right?
Alright, so you're giving like a new perspective to me, because at the very first place, I think it's because on how the company is growing rapidly and expandingly internationally, eventually become the part of the Germany index itself. But then, I think this is also lead into the another question regarding, was this also like simply a management problem?
So I will definitely say yes, because management should receive on like the most blame of this case and scandal, because executives are more responsible to preparing the financial statement and also communicate with the investors. So without management misconduct or fraud, this situation and scandal would not be happening, right?
Alright, that's fair. But I don't think like management should carry all of the blame, because corporate governance is also exists to monitor the management. If the fraud can continue for years, then the system designed to stop it clearly weren't working either.
So you're saying that this situation was not just one bad decision by one person, right?
Yeah, I think so, because it's also like might actually reflect on a much bigger failure.
Yes, yeah. So in this case, so let's talk about the board of directors. Do you think that they fail?
Yeah, honestly they are, because at the end of the day, the board job is to oversight if the billions of the euro is were falsely reported, then the board failed to challenge the management effectively.
Yes, I agree, but maybe more. Just want to clarify. I think board member is rely more in the information that was stated by the management and the auditors, right?
Yes.
So if the information was concealed, even the active board is might struggle to identify the fraud at this time.
Yes, That's true, but I guess the real question is whether they also like ask enough difficult question, because at the end of the day, I also like questioning about their how they do.
Okay, speaking about difficult questions, so we can avoid with auditors or EY, right? So do you think EY has responsibilities in this case?
Of course, to some extent, of course, yes, because investor also like rely on the audited financial statement. The fact that 1.9 billion euro is couldn't be verified raises like a serious question about the audit quality itself.
Yes, I understand those kind of critics, but I think the auditor is provide the reasonable assurance. It's not like the absolute assurance they give to the company. So I think the management is still has the primary blaming and responsibilities to preparing all the financial statement and all the information that was concluded.
Alright, that's true and also fair. But at the same time, this wasn't a small accounting error. So yeah, I think that's the problem.
Yeah, so I think maybe because of this was not a small accounting error, it might lead for another question, right? So we keep questioning that can the auditor realistically detect every fraud that happened in company?
I think probably not, because the frauders also like we know they will also try hard to also like hide this kind of the evidence, and they will also like discover these things, and maybe like the audit is also cannot guarantee that every fraud is also discovered.
Yeah, I agree with you, but like the people is expecting more into like more provisional skepticism, and because they were like one of the big four company in auditing, so I think that's why people and public reactions toward it was really harsh and intense.
Yes, and here's the part that is also shocked me the most, because I think there were actually people who tried at the very first to warn everyone years before the Wirecard collapse.
Yes, exactly, understand. Because I also looking for the article and journal that I was talking about this. So there's a journalist from the Financial Times, especially that investigated in Reporter and McCrum. So they really questioning about the Wirecard accounting practices, and they also published the report about the possible irregularities.
But instead of being praised, this kind of the journalist were criticized.
Yeah, and some people even accuse them of trying to like manipulate the market. So even the regulator is more focused on them. This side they just investing the Wirecard itself.
Yes, which is honestly for me it's crazy, because to think about now, because the people raising the concern end up being treated like the problem itself.
And the most shocking is until it turns out that many of this concern was valid at that time. So here's the difficult question regarding this. So which failure was worse at this time? Is it going to be like the auditing one or governance failure?
I would probably say it's more likely to governance failure first, because the strong governance it should prevent this kind of the fraud before the auditors even become involved.
But however, I think more disagree on this, because auditors are often seen as the final line of defense, right? But once audit financial statements are published, investors is more assumed that the information is more reliable, and then they can like trust in this information. So that's make for me the auditing failure is also bigger and really serious.
Yeah, maybe that's why this case becomes so controversial, because everyone expected someone else to catch the problem itself.
Yes, I think it's really happening and controversial right now. And then, I just want to ask you about what do you think about the regulators?
Oh right, so this is also a cool question that I think regulators also feel, of course, because their responsibility is to protect the investor and to maintain the confidence in the market, right? But the fact that the fraud lasted for years suggests the weaknesses in the oversight itself.
Yes, I agree with you. But the Wirecard scandal showed that there's a weakness in governance, auditing, and also the regulation itself. And if one mechanism was failed, another should ideally detect the problem at the first time, right? So in this case, is I will say there's a several system problem that happened at the same time.
So yeah, it's interesting. So after the everything that we already discussed, who do you think that deserve the most blame?
Okay, so this is the interesting question for me because I will probably say still in management because at the first time, the management is really doing some of the information misleading or misconduct or even doing the manipulation on their information. So none of the other failure will happen if they're not misconduct their information, right?
Alright, yeah. I think I also agree, but to be fair, that I think I prefer to also share a responsibility perspective because I think management right they are also create the proud, but also secondly regarding the board is failed to monitor, but also auditor failed to identify the warning sign, and also the regulators is failed to intervene. So the scandal happened because of the multiple failures occurred together.
Yes. So I think that's why this has become the Europe biggest scandal. Yes, because it wasn't just the one person mistake. So what does this case teach us about international accounting?
Alright, so for me, one important lesson is that the financial reporting alone is not enough because we know numbers might be impressive at the very first place, but there are the possibilities such as the problem that is happening, such as this case.
Okay, yes. And I think that was really learned in the class also that with international accounting is really depending on the trust that we get from the investor or the stakeholder. So if this kind of trust doesn't come only just from the standard, but also depends on the practices of the governance, auditing, and also the ethics. So it can create more effective and also regarding to the regulations.
Alright, so the question will be do you think that this case is also could be happening in nowadays?
I think honestly, yes, right now because risk will always exist because the financial pressure that might happen to the management and also incentive that still exists until now.
Yeah, I agree, but I do hope that is after these Wirecard cases, everyone could be more aware and having noticing the government risk that is also able to happening.
Okay, so before we end this episode today, what is the biggest learn that you learned from the Wirecard?
Alright, so for me it's about the rapid growth itself. It should never replace the accountability.
And for me, trust is also the foundation of the market. So when the governance, auditing, and also the regulation fail to meet together, even $1 billion company can collapse at once. For example, like this case.
Yeah. So the Wirecard itself wasn't just a proud case. It was a reminder that the good corporate governance is essential for maintaining the confidence in the international business.
Okay, so thank you for listening. I will see you
on the next episode.